Hello everyone, I'm Darren again. Today's questions are asking if I would discuss why narcissistic people tend to see themselves as being special and unique, and why they often go to great lengths to try to portray themselves as such, and also why their attempts to do so often seem childish, poorly thought out, and tend to make them look quite foolish. Well, to begin with, the belief that they're special is actually one of the diagnostic criteria for NPD. They believe that they're unique, special, and they can only really be understood by or should associate with other, high-status, special people. Which can be one of the reasons why some narcissistic people treat others as if they're doing them a favour just being in their company. But there is also a demand for excessive admiration, and they have an unreasonable sense of entitlement. They expect special treatment, special favours. They expect immediate compliance with their demands and their expectations. And all of these things tie directly into their need for narcissistic supply. And that's the demand for attention, admiration, sympathy, or validation. They crave it in order to maintain their inflated self-image. They need other people to feed their ego, to support their deluded sense of reality about themselves. They need other people to collude with their fantasies, to tell them that they're right about themselves. When they get all this, they need to be interesting somehow. Because the thought of being average, being ordinary, well, that could threaten their sense of superiority. It could also threaten their narcissistic supply, and that would be intolerable. So what you often find is they construct narratives where they stand out from the crowds. They are different, they are unique. So they will exaggerate or even fabricate elements of their own life just to elicit amazement, awe, envy, even sympathy, anything at all to get attention. But they can also be very competitive. They constantly compare other people unfavourably. They compare themselves overly favourably. And they can turn every conversation, every action, into a contest. But the thing is, this isn't just about winning, nor is it just about being better. It's about being incomparable. There is no one like them, no one even comes close. No one has suffered as much as they have. No one has achieved as much as they have. No one has sacrificed as much as them, and no one has had to overcome as much hardship as they have. No one understands their exceptional life, and no one has been through what they have been through, because they are not like other people. They are separate from, superior to, and much more interesting than anyone else. But really, they live in a fantasy world of success, power, brilliance, where reality must be rejected at all costs, otherwise their delusions would be shattered. And even where you see groups of narcissistic people in movements, cults, their families and so on, there is still what Freud referred to as the narcissism of small differences. They all want to stand out. As much as they're all on the same page, they still want to be different. They want to be admired, even with their own little narcissistic group. Now, one of the reasons why their attempts to be special can be so childish and often poorly thought out is because regardless of how talented, skilled or intelligent they are, emotionally, they're still stuck at an early childhood age. Think of the little child who believes they can impress their parents by tying their shoelaces in a special way. Now, when you see that kind of behaviour in an adult, well, that's often where you see their arguments, their claims, their behaviours, well, they just seem ridiculous, bewildering, sometimes even comical. For instance, someone might say something like, "Smoking is really bad for you." Well, you might hear a narcissist claim that their health improved when they started smoking. In fact, all of their ailments cleared up because they are different. Or if someone were to say that crocodiles are scary creatures, well, a narcissist might claim that they wouldn't be afraid of a crocodile. In fact, they love crocodiles. In fact, crocodiles love them. Their best friend is a crocodile. But it's all about not being ordinary, not being like other people, being different, being special, being more interesting, being more worthy of attention than other people, and always in a way that keeps the spotlight on them. Now, as much as you might hear about how much they have achieved, how hard-working they are, and how amazing they are, you can also hear them talk about being the most victimised, mistreated, ill, hard done by, or wounded person you've ever met. They confound medical science. No doctor can help them. No one has ever been as badly treated as them. They are so traumatised, no therapist can help them. Actually, I'm just thinking, maybe I should add, in order for therapy to work, you have to be honest with yourself and your therapist. Do you see where the difficulty can lie when it comes to narcissism? Now, another way the childlike behaviour can manifest is when it comes to things like word salad. Now, yes, there can be an element of manipulation. Maybe they're trying to confuse, destabilise other people, or just trying to sound super intelligent. But there are times when, if you were to ask a narcissist a question, well, they're not necessarily thinking about the question or even what the answer is. Instead, they're trying to think of something amazingly clever to say. And that's when you see their mouth engage before their brain does. Rather than give an answer or even just say, I don't know the answer, instead, they just keep talking while they're trying to think of something intelligent to say. And that's when you start to hear a load of gibberish nonsense. Now, the thing about narcissistic people is they've spent a lifetime trying to create a version of themselves that is amazing, even though that version of themselves might change depending on their audience. But in many cases, they have little or nothing to back any of it up. So when they're confronted with facts that they didn't know, or someone challenges them, even if they have to face reality, that is when their outrage and their contempt kicks in. When someone tries to correct them, even if they're just trying to be helpful, well, to a narcissist, that's like an unprovoked assault on their sense of self. They are just so overly invested in something that isn't real. I hope that answers the questions, and I hope you find it interesting. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time, thanks for watching.